And we are live.
Nice to see you again.
Hello, Jake.
Hi, Paulus.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Same
It's
here.
been, I think, a couple of weeks, maybe even a month last time we spoke.
Oh, has it been that long ago already?
Yeah,
Time
time
flies.
flies. Time flies. Today we arranged a call to talk about writing, and both of us are writers on Medium, and we play with the crafts. I'm myself a hobbyist. I would consider myself a hobbyist. Both of us share a common interest, and I think it would be very interesting to talk a little bit more about that.
Interesting.
I know you a little bit from before, but the audience might not know you at the moment. So could you tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get interested in writing?
Yes. I think most people, most writers, would agree that we've always been writers. As for me, I started writing. I kept a diary as a young kid, and of course, that wasn't consistent. I wasn't one of those prolific writers. Um, but I think writing for me has been always a kind of a way to express myself or to record something. And even though I'm Japanese, but I didn't grow up in Japan, but my parents are Japanese. And my mother was very keen at keeping my Japanese level at a native level. So she always encouraged me to use Japanese, at least at home, which now I'm very thankful for. And the point I'm trying to make is in Japan, there's the word eniki. Eniki, it means art or picture. And Nikki is diary, so picture diary. And kids combine the practice of drawing some picture representing anything, action, what they did that day, plus a worded description of that. And so I grew up doing that as a young kid. So I guess that would answer your question about, how I started writing, at least. And fast forward to today, writing. Yes, I would consider myself a hobbyist as well. I don't make any money from it. I haven't set up my account to make money. Hobby, I guess I take that word too literally, and it didn't start off as something that I wanted to do, like, as in like doing photography or collecting stamps. It's not that kind of hobby really. It's more for me it was without getting too much into the details for your audience sake, kind of self-therapy. I was going through a stage in my life where I needed to help myself, and I didn't reach out for any professional help, counseling. So it was just me and the keyboard and just spilling everything I had in my head, in my heart. And that I was given an opportunity to write a self-introduction for this new job I had in the past. And a couple of people said, "Oh, your writing style is very interesting. It's even funny." I said, "Oh, I'm funny," and then I just started writing just for fun. So, but yeah, at the time it was for self-care.
Right. That's interesting. It's interesting that many people actually pick up writing because they look at it as a way of therapy. as I would like to call it, a conversation with yourself. So it seems that it has been something of a similar nature to you as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think yes. I think in many regards, there's a common thread in all of our writing as humans.
But how did you transition from writing, let's say, for yourself to publishing online? Because this is quite different.
Yeah,
You know,
this.
it's another nature of
Yeah,
writing.
true. Yeah, I don't. I can't say I have a. I guess I'm gonna have to make it up, but I'm not a bit too honest. There's
So,
no nice clean story to tell there because um yeah as with many things begin and sort of blah away. But what I do remember is I started this account last March in 2022. That's when I made the account, but I didn't really start writing until fall of that year of last 2022, around September. But when I first learned about Medium when I was living in China, and one of my colleagues was an English teacher. I wasn't. I was a science teacher at this international school, and um, she mentioned she was writing a story, like a fictional story, um, whose main character was Yorick, so like from Hamlet, and
Yorick.
yeah, but it had nothing to do with Hamlet, but just the name Yorick,
Uh-huh.
uh, and then that's when I first learned about Medium. But I didn't start writing that that year because that was like 2018. I was looking for a like a like a blogging platform, I guess, but I didn't want to. I wasn't thinking of blogging at the time because I already knew that Google had Blogger, and there are other
Yeah, yeah.
platforms that I used when I was teaching for teaching purposes. Um, but I started reading the articles on Medium, and the first story that I published on Medium was this story about how I got into teaching English, being an ESL teacher. My very first, like going back almost 30 years uh, ago. And that started, I think I mentioned earlier that I was asked to write a self-introduction for a job, or a previous job. And that morphed, like I added stuff and it morphed into not so much about, yes, it's about me, it centers around me, but I put in Japanese culture in there and the all the good and the pitfalls of becoming a
Mhm.
teacher, I guess. And yeah, and hinting that I might be burning out, and so it's a bit of a, it involves a lot of things in it. Um, but it began with this kernel, this um, general idea of how I got into teaching in the first place, and over time it got a few reads, mostly from people who are teachers or were teachers, and I think that's probably how the medium the algorithm works also. Not entirely, but there's this, keyword that people um, or idea, a theme that the algorithm picks up, and then people will click on the story because of that key theme.
I still have not figured out how it works because,
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
well, I'm still curious because it seems like it's an art in it of itself to write a good headline, and not just a cheesy
Yes.
headline.
No.
A cheesy headline I skip whenever I see it.
Yes. Yes.
So
Same.
you know you're coming in for a trap But to write actually a good headline, that's an art, because you only have to use a couple of words to
That's right.
say what it's going to be about, and also to catch the attention, but not to overpromise, because you know when you get tricked, that feeling, it's
Yeah. I'm getting that. I'm getting a lot of that. What you mentioned, that sort of that hook. Hooks are important. Like, we teach if you're a teacher, you teach your kids how to write a good hook for a story. But there are those who have sort of found some kind of formula, at least on Medium, probably other platforms, where they know what will, get the attention of people for the wrong reason. Like,
yes,
they'll say, "Oh, I want to learn. I want to know why. I want to know something," and then they'll read it, and it's like, it's not what I, you know,
expected.
bargained for, expected. So it turns me off. I don't know about you, and I just
Yeah, I do also see many articles that I would like to read, but they just kind of push me a little bit away because of the overpromise. And you sometimes know that it will not deliver unless you unless you already know the author, which is quite hard, because I imagine myself on the other side of the screen when another person is looking at this massive amount of articles that he or
yeah,
she can read, and
yeah,
they see the name of an author which is unknown. So and you only have a picture, a headline, and maybe a sub headline to catch the
yeah.
person's attention. And you want to do it in
Yes,
a such a way that you maintain integrity. So to balance,
that's the word.
yeah. So to balance your integrity together with a good headline and a picture and good content when a person comes into the article, well, I think that's the art. So not
Well,
only just to write good stuff, but to attract people to read it. I wonder, how do you feel about this regards?
are you asking what's my motivation to work, or
That's a very good rephrasing of the question. So, what would be your motivation to write?
actually that's a good question. Because I think that's something I actually wrote about in one of my stories. The reason why I don't keep a journal now is because I reached this point where I don't need to do it for only for self-care, self-therapy. And when you write a journal, you're recording your thoughts, and no one else will read it unless, you know, but most people don't. Yeah, it's private, right? I reached this point where I wanted to have an audience. So whether that's just my sister or a friend, I'm not, again, this is not a source of income. So I don't need to bend my own rules. As you mentioned, the word integrity. For me, the word integrity would be too fancy, because I'm not one of those. I am a writer. I can finally say that, but I'm not one of those writers who are well established and making money. Not at a professional level, but no, still a writer. But I'm not one of those writers who need to sell. And
Right.
I'm not going to judge them. They have every right to use any technique, strategy to get their stories out. I don't care if people don't. I don't care if people follow me or don't follow me. Just subscribe or anything like that. Um, but at the end of my stories, I always have this little blurb at the end, like not a boilerplate, but saying, you don't have to follow me, but just say hi, because
Yes.
um, and I write because I write for connections, and I really mean that. Like, if I could get to know, even on a superficial level, of people around the world, whether you're from, the European continent, African continent, Asia, it doesn't matter, Mars. If you, that's the pleasure I get, from writing. um, it's not the numbers. It's more like the fact that my story reached someone, and then it's like, okay, my story succeeded. Then move on to another story, write another story. And so I tend to drift away from the main question, I guess. But uh,
No,
um,
actually, it's very good because your call to action, the one that you have mentioned before, really caught my attention while I was reading your articles, because many people have a very traditional one that's they encourage people to maybe comment or like or follow or something of that nature. But for you, it was just drop in to say hi, which I liked. So I think that's what I did. I dropped in to say hi.
yeah, and I really appreciate that, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah. Another question which I was meaning to ask you, because that
Okay.
transition from writing in your own journal or in a Word file doesn't really matter, but when you don't show it to anyone and publicizing something online, it's a little bit different. And for some people, it's not an issue because they can just write and press publish and that's it, and they move on. But for some people, it's very difficult to press that button because they have a lot of doubts and
Yeah,
ideas
I'm
and
one of those
insecurities.
people.
Are you really? Well, I
Yeah.
guess everyone has that to an extent. It's just different spectrums. But uh, so, what would you say to yourself in the beginning before publishing your first article when you were doubting whether to do it or not, or to another person that might be in similar shoes, which does not know if it's a good idea or not? Would you encourage that person to do it anyways and get better over time? Or what would you say to that man or girl or whoever?
Yeah. Um, I would say to that person, that friend, why are you here in the first place? If you had no interest, you wouldn't be at the doorstep of Medium. Or if you didn't like dancing, you wouldn't have come to this dance hall. If you didn't like, you know what I'm getting
Yes,
at. Like,
exactly.
so that person, I mean, as I did, still do, have, um, especially if you're a kind of introvert, you're always questioning yourself, and whether they are insecurities or lack of confidence or um, um, having sort of fear of being laughed at or judged. For me, it's all of the above. uh, but you're there, and a part of you is saying, "Do it," you know, and and then of course it's, but what if the what ifs, the what if monkeys start running around your head, trying to dissuade you from, you know, um, jumping, pressing that publish button as you said earlier. I think you're there for a purpose. You're there for a reason, and you're just not sure. You're just shy, I guess. And my, I don't like giving advice, but if someone were to ask me, you know, should I should I publish this story? Um, I would say yes, definitely. Um, w- it, unless you're going, first of all, on Medium, um, it's a safe place to write. I've never met anyone who gave me any kind of negative feedback in terms of constructive criticism is good. Like, you should do it this way, you should do it that way, and then you'll be a better writer. That's fine. I think everyone needs that. But like, how could you say this? Judging your character, or making fun of what you wrote. I haven't met anyone like that. So I think it's a safe platform for that. I feel sorry for those who have experienced that, but But I think that's in the minority. And then like all platforms, you can block people, right?
Yeah, that's a
If
possibility.
they that's right. If a troll finds you, but um, yeah, definitely just write it. Self edit. That's important. Uh, and see what happens. And most often, you'll be pleased with what you discover. For me, meeting people like yourself, making friends that I've never met before, never known before, is the main drive, main motivation. Goes back to the connection idea. So definitely, just we've all been there. Most of us have been there. We're just so afraid to do that. And you could always, with your old stories, go back and tweak them a bit, because after a year of writing, and if you're writing consistently, at least some people write every day. I can't, but at least like once a week. If you do it periodically and you're in this habit of writing over a year, that's going to turn into something. Yeah. You'll be more careful. You'll be more tactful. You'll be, your vocabulary, especially if you're not a native speaker, and even if you are, the thesaurus is one of my best friends. Yeah. He, and writing prose, you could probably identify with this. Writing prose and experimenting with new words that you've never used before is a bit dangerous, but poetry is a good format for trying out new words. Because then you have an excuse, right? If you're writing poetry.
That's true.
And people say, oh, oh, this person is using this word in a very funny way or interesting way,
Very
but
poetic.
it's poetry. So yeah, that's right.
How creative.
And then if you don't get any comments saying, why did you, then that's another word that's under your belt. And yeah, anyway, so
It's actually
I
interesting.
think
I haven't tried writing poetry yet, although it has been in the back of my mind. But just the other day, we met, I and my girlfriend were walking down the street, and we met a couple of friends, and they invited us to sit for a drink and talk. And we sat, and the man said to his girlfriends and told us exactly that he had written her poem. And the first poem that he had written was AI generated by ChatGPT. So he told all the facts about them, and what he would like the program to write, and the program wrote a poem, we could call. And then after that, of course, he wrote a small poem of his own, because it would be not fair for your lover to receive a poem generated by ChatGPT. And to be honest, he read both of them, and it was not in English; it was in Portuguese. So he had to translate it for us. So we didn't know the exact way how it was written, but yeah, it was funny because ChatGPT does just that. It selects words that might sound appealing, but they're very out of context in some regards. Like, our love is so ecological. It does. It's odd, and you feel that little cringe when you listen to it. But then when he read his poem, which was significantly shorter, but you felt the heart inside of it. You actually, maybe it's not a very high level or anything like that, but you actually felt the sincerity of the person saying that. So it seems that, and my girlfriend also remarked that ChatGPT and all these AI programs are very good to do the technical work and like translation and maybe logical operations. But for it to reach the heart level where you can actually express that, it seems that it's 1,000 moons away to get to that direction. So just
Okay.
when you mentioned about poems, that came to my mind. And actually,
Yeah. Yes.
on the same note, what have you tried using any of these new tools? Let's say just to see what they are or play around. And if you had, well, what's your perspective of this?
First question is, have I used such tools? And yes, it's a tool. Not for my stories I've medium, but I've used whether it's for English or another language. It they're handy if you need some sort of kind of this prompt,
Uh-huh.
something to start with. If sometimes I've done translations on the side job, and if the topic was unfamiliar in another language for which I didn't have the right vocabulary for, then I definitely use before ChatGPT and um, yeah, before ChatGPT, there was Google Translate. There's DeepL, which people in the sort of technical scientific uh, industry use more than say Google or there's so many other apps out there. But um, knowing that the translations are strange, um, y- and being a teacher, that some students will use other platforms to generate their answers for essays. It's not uncommon, but it's like I don't know. My analogy is not complete and it's not the best, but think about cooking for for your partner or for someone other than yourself, um, and hopefully it's edible. that that person will appreciate your cooking, even though it might not be a 5-course meal. It uh, from a fancy restaurant, that they know that you made it and you spend all this time, effort, um, you know, thought into making dinner, a nice meal for that person. That person will appreciate it more than you going to a convenience store and buying uh, a select number of you know uh, plastic wrapped frozen food, whatever that you just put into the microwave. Um, it's already made. It's instant. It's food. You can eat it. Same with ChatGPT. Yeah, you can read it. It sends a message. You get the idea, but there's no heart. It's not organic, and um, I don't know. Like it's hard. Like, what's the difference between a human, totally human, um, written material and something that's AI written? Well, the technology will get better, will improve, and it'll reach a point, or it probably has reached a point where you can't really tell a difference. I actually wrote a press release a few months ago for my university. A researcher developed this software
Uh-huh.
that the research wasn't about the software. It was about how people. This is a social experiment. How people perceived Japanese poetry, like haiku, and
Hmm.
they
Okay.
would read. They had the subjects reading the haiku. There are three types: the human uh, uh, assisted
Hmm.
uh,
Right.
haiku, and then it was just entirely AI written one, and then entirely human written haiku. And just long story short, the ones that they thought that the subjects thought were really, really good were the ones made by AI. Good, maybe good's not the right word.
Technical, maybe. Very
almost
technical.
perfect, almost
Okay.
perfect. And they thought, oh, that's probably, it's really, really, it's just too perfect. And that's probably written, that's probably, AI, made. So they chose another one that I thought was human. And the what researchers found was that the subjects had this kind of um, resistance to technology. So they would make choices based on their uh, perception of what was AI and what was human. And the conclusion I drew from that was, even if it wasn't perfect, they thought they felt that this one piece was more human because of the way it was written, or how words were used together, I suppose. And it's really hard to pinpoint what makes something human and what makes something artificial. I guess it's something that we know intuitively as a human.
But
So
were most of the time they correct by saying that, thinking that, oh, this might be generated by AI because of the almost perfectness? Were they right a majority of the time? Guessing whose the haiku was.
I don't remember the figures,
Mhm.
but and again, the focus was more on, not so much on if they guessed right or not, but it was more on their um, their reasoning.
But coming back to writing a little bit, I was also curious because many people use these AI technologies for their work because they don't have developed maybe their writing skills to a level, or they don't have time. So, but I was wondering about you, and how has writing affected your work in general? I know that it's very much connected with your profession, but when you have begun writing as not just as a hobby, but maybe even as a routine or as a ritual, it can be a weekly or a daily ritual. How has that impacted your work life? Has it gotten better, or maybe easier, or maybe it had other unexpected effects?
Yeah, the quick answer is definitely yes. Um, I think they play, they help each other. So my attitude towards writing has completely changed. Uh, it it's something that I actually enjoy doing now. Um, it's one of the first things I do when I get home, and then um, if I ask myself if I would be like this, maybe 5, 10 years ago, I would laugh because no, Jake, you're not a writer. What do you mean? What do you mean you enjoy writing? But I do. I come home after a full day of writing drafts for press releases. I come home. I would think, my old self would say, okay, get on Netflix or go out and run or do something else. But I come home, I'll make my tea or coffee, go to my computer, click on Medium, check notifications you know, um, for people's messages, read people's stories, and then go to my drafts folder and start a new story or continue a previously started story. And yeah, I would stand there. As I stand, I think
Oh,
better when
you
I'm
do?
standing. Yeah, and I'm standing
Okay.
right now too. Yeah, I don't. I do have a normal desk, a table, but I don't use it. I use this kind of like high counter table. But anyway, I just start. I write for about a couple of hours. I'm not writing literally nonstop for 2 hours. I'll, going back and forth between other stories, but yeah, basically I'm there on Medium for about a couple of hours, and it's um I can't right now. I can't imagine doing anything else. I don't see myself changing that habit routine. Um, Going on Medium is probably it's one of the first things I do in the morning when I wake up as well. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm going back to your first story. Uh, I first question. Um, they the writing at work carries on into my Medium writing. Medium writing gives me uh, not so much ideas, but just um, this energy, I suppose. When I go to work,
Uh-huh.
I'm already in a because I've woken up and I'm on Medium first thing in the morning. So when I go to work, and it's just this, it's I don't
There's a
know.
synergy, it seems.
Yes, uh, Chinese martial arts. Like it's just
Ah, Tai
flow,
Chi.
flow, 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 flow of energy. Yes, that just continues, and it's been good for me. It's just been this
That's very
constant in my
nice.
life. Yeah,
That's very nice because it doesn't seem now that it's, let's say, work and leisure time. It doesn't seem like these two opposite countries or two opposite islands.
yeah, right.
There's a bridge that connects them, and
Well,
which makes both
yeah,
of them nicer at the
yeah,
same time. So there's more wholeness. It seems like in the day.
that's right. And there are different types of writing. One is, you know, press release. It's an article in the most technical way. It's just factual, and then this is, of course, is a story because it's not a scientific paper. It's written for the general audience with some interest at least and knowledge of science, I guess. But at home, it's totally different type of writing, but it's still writing. So yeah.
And tell me if you can a little bit more about what you like to write, because I have noticed that there are
um,
some reoccurring themes. Like one of the themes, I've noticed that uh, you do have some of the articles that are more like, it's like journals, but it's not specifically about your day. It has something else. So the pictures and the writings, they tell a story, and it's not necessarily like I woke up at that time and went to do that. It has something ephemeral. It has some space. It has something nice. Maybe it's connected with your culture and how you express yourself. But it takes you in for this little walk together, we could say.
no,
So we could call the first part, the first section, the little walks with Jake, through
yeah,
through the
sure.
simple, nice aspects of life. So that simplicity, it's very lovely. The other part is humor, and the third part is more, I've noticed, oriented to the Japanese culture. So these I've noticed that these three segments. Uh, did I get them correctly, or am I missing anything?
No, you're not missing anything. What you described is totally accurate. I don't have a kind of niche writing. There's a part of me that I'm uh, introducing or uh, describing myself, describing my feelings. But I like I would like to think whether I'm successful or not, taking uh, taking you, the reader, into my uh, short 3 minute or 5 minute story. Uh, you know, as like a tour guide, showing around my little world, whether I'm happy or sad or upset about something. Um, some stories are just whimsical, silly. Uh, my first story that I published on this publication called Monster Alley. Uh, Shout out to TAM, Accidental Monster. I published a horror story. And the inspiration, I think it was I don't know if it was a challenge, but uh, the publication had a theme for writing Halloween stories. And I took a part of my life, uh, uh, my relationship, and made it into this morbid kind of ghost story. And there was no, I tried to inject a little humor in it as well. Some people picked it up, others said, "Oh wow, it's really graphic." Oh, and and that's fine too. But I think I can't resist putting some self-parody into my stories. Whether people pick it up or not, I put it in there, and I'm always delighted when someone finds it, picks it up. If not, then try harder next time. Uh, the recent stories, I've recently I put in a lot of my own photographs. I haven't been going to the comment. Well, what are they called again? Um, this
Sure, like
like
this kind of
Unsplash. This
free stock photo
free stock.
websites.
That's right. Yeah, I haven't been using them. Um, I did at the beginning, but I thought, yeah. I mean, I've got so many photos in my folders. I may as well use them. And so then I joined this publication called Full Frame, which um, showcases writers' own photographs and they write something about it. And I thought that was, hopefully this bridges back to your original question. And I this is many aspects of my writing now. It's kind of matured. I'm not sure if mature is the right word,
It's a good word, I think, to use. Yeah.
but I think I'm more, I guess, mindful. Maybe that's a better word. Mindful of what I'm writing, what I'm doing on Medium. It's not just writing about myself or my perspective, but trying to give value to what I'm writing. Without, I'm not good at writing, how to become a better writer, or why your why your stories aren't getting the attention that it deserves. There's so many of those articles out there, and some of them are written really well, but I'm not good at that, and I stay away from that. And instead, I'm just the only way I can become a good writer is just being authentic in my own way, just being myself. People don't like my writing, but that's fine. I can't people can't please everyone. But if I like what I've written, and of course it's, you know, self, uh, self, like patting yourself on the shoulder kind of thing, you know. Um, but you know what I mean? Like there's some stories that you're happy with, and you may not get all the attention. Um, um, you may not get a lot of clicks, you know, but that's not why I'm writing, really. Because I'm not doing it for for an income. I have, and I'm fortunate because I can say that, you know, some people do need it as a source of income, but I'm doing it more for myself. So uh, if I enjoy writing, if I enjoy the what I've produced, of course it's would be full of mistakes, flaws, and but this, you know, I'm sure you understand. You've written something that speaks to you, to yourself, and um,
Oh yes, I do understand actually.
yeah,
Sometimes you just write an article without even expecting that anyone is going to read it, and that's fine
mhm,
because it was just something that you wanted to read during that day, or
mhm,
it's what you wanted to read from someone else actually, and maybe you didn't find it, so you have written it.
yes,
So it's that kind of a feeling, and maybe it's a little bit narcissistic when you put it that way, but
yeah,
from another point of
no,
view, it's just like what you felt like expressing that day, and you
mhm,
managed to put it out there in some kind of form,
mhm,
and you're done with it, and it feels like a weight has dropped because maybe
mhm,
there was an idea in your head that you just didn't pay attention to, and you wanted to understand, well, what is this idea that I have?
yes,
why is it here? So
mhm,
let's try to explore it. And if you
yeah,
manage to explore it in a good way, well, you're a happy man. Well, at least I am
yes,
when that
yeah,
happens.
yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And it's not narcissism at all. It's artistic. Narcissism is an attitude where you think my story deserves, you know, more attention. Why aren't people liking my story? Mine is superior. That's narcissism. Um, but we all need to feel that we were able to get out and um, put it into words how we're feeling. That, you know, and then feeling good that ah, I was able to write it in a way that I'm happy with. Because you know, all yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what counts
all
most of the time,
yeah,
at
yeah,
least.
yeah.
When you're a hobbyist, just like we are.
Mhm.
So also, maybe one of the finishing questions that I would like to ask for you is, whether you, where do you feel like this is taking you? Do you have a feeling that this is taking you somewhere? Like this is,
Well,
you know, when sometimes you're on the path, but you don't know where the path is leading exactly. You just know that you're on the path. And
mm,
sometimes you feel like you're on the wrong path, and but you just you wanna walk it if you feel that's the right one. It's
well,
just to see what's around the corner, because you can see
mhm,
a little bit of path going, and then you see a turn, and you have no idea what's on that
mhm.
turn.
Yeah.
So, is it for you more like a straight path where you can see yards away what's happening, or is it more of this wiggly one, which is just curious to take as a writer and as a content creator in general?
Let's put it this way. I see Mount Everest.
Okay,
I see Mount Everest. Okay. I could have chosen another mountain, but everyone knows Everest. So, and I see
let's
its
say Mount
peak.
Fuji then.
See Mount Fuji. Well, I've already climbed it, so
Okay, so Mount Everest that is.
Uh, um, and I want to climb it because it's a cliche because it's there. No, um, I want to write uh, in the same way I want to write a book, um, a story about my family. It's not, it's not a particularly. It's only interesting to me and my sister, my younger sister, because we grew up with these, Japanese immigrant parents, and we're second generation. So yeah, uh, immigrant children could identify with this, with what we went through, and also as Asians as well, with all the cultural, whether you're Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Thai, whatever, Vietnamese, that we all share this kind of this Asian immigrant uh, life experience. That some recent movies have done a good job of presenting it, sort of from a Asian perspective, not a Hollywood. So the story that this book that I want to write is this mountain, Mount Everest, that I'm afraid of climbing because I know a lot of people have died trying to climb, and I almost literally think that writing this book is going to be something along that kind of, oh, it's going to be a hard struggle. But yeah, I'm going to try climbing it because yeah, because it's there. But the path uh, is definitely not straight. It's this wiggly thing, as you had said. And I don't know how I'm going to get there. I know where I'm going. So I guess that answers your question. Um, and this my writing experience at Medium is one course, and my job writing press releases is another course. And those two happen to be going in the same direction at the moment. Then there's photography, which is helping me to look at things from different perspective, different angles, low angle, high angle, close focus, far focus, things like that. And it helps me in some way. I can't pinpoint it right now, but it helps me creatively, And and I'm not a poet, but I like playing with words, as I mentioned earlier. So that also gives me these tools to get closer to Mount Everest. Yeah, I just made that up right now. But that I guess that I'm trying to answer your question in that sort of in a way that
Well,
people
I
people
really
people could
hope,
follow.
I really, really hope that you will reach that destination, and just for the scenery. Come on, it's very
Yeah.
nice to get a look from there, and I guess it's a very nice feeling to have a book that is finally written in a form that you feel.
Okay.
Well, I guess you never feel like it's the final draft, but you have to decide which one is final. so
Yes.
so I'm really hoping that you will be able to do that, because I also have no idea what it means to finish writing a novel. Sometimes it's hard to finish writing an
So
article, or but writing a book, that's another story. But also, I just wanted to ask whether it's going to be, or are you planning it to be autobiographical, or are you planning to add a little bit of fiction?
um yeah, that's good. That's a good question. It'll be more on the fictional side, based on real experiences. Um, Also because when you're writing a story, unless you get the consent of all people mentioned in the story, uh, it might um, entail some legal issues, like,
Yeah.
so, but if it's fictional and you're changing names, then you're in a safe territory for the most part. So uh, it'll be a fictional story based on my family and life experiences, and yeah.
Well, now it's already out there. So the idea is gonna be it's like that publish button that sometimes it's scary to push. So now it has been pressed. Now,
Yeah,
yeah,
but again, I
so
may never reach the top. And I'm fine with that. But I guess, yeah, the journey. I'm trying to enjoy the journey, the process, and learning how to write and meeting, good people along the way, and like yourself, and learning from other people. Yeah, I think it's fun. Not easy, but it's worthwhile.
yeah, it's
So
definitely not easy. We should
yeah,
have picked up a easier hobby that would make our lives easier, but
yeah,
not maybe not as interesting.
that's right. Yeah, I think because it's hard. Um, you do it because it's hard. Oh, yeah. Isn't that what John F. Kennedy said about going to the moon? We do it because it's hard, not because it's easy.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't heard this one, but it seems like something that the man would have said. Well, Jake, I would like to thank you for participating in our second conversation.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
it's a great pleasure.
y- yeah, yeah. One is just for us,
And,
and this one will be for the people that are interested in maybe even
and
just starting to write, because
well,
both of us are beginners. But who knows? Maybe this will make a change or a difference to someone who is curious about the same subject. Maybe some ideas will resonate, and sometimes you just need a word or a little bit of encouragement, and then people can move mountains that maybe they didn't even know that those mountains were there to move. So thank you for
yes, well
joining in.
said. Thank you.
Maybe have some last words to maybe to an imaginary person listening to our conversation.
Mhm. Last words um, about writing. Um, well, and something practical. There's a right now it's browser based. It's not it's an app that you download from, you know, uh, like the Apple Store or Android, but it's called KoalaQuill. And I'm not being paid to advertise, but koala as in the animal, quill as in the Fedora pen, QUILL. It's one word, KoalaQuill, and it was made by another Medium uh, contributor, and uh, I started using it because it's great for uh, giving, producing prompts for fictional and non-fictional stories, and it it's it's kind of like a gaming app where uh, it forces you to write every day, and if you stop writing every day, then you lose points, and then you get demoted to a lower level. But the more you write, it rewards you with points and promotes you to this higher level, and each level has a cute name. Um, and it's been and it's very helpful, not only in helping me write every day, but it also gives me ideas um, on what to write for Medium as well. And so they're not making any money from it. It's you can give them. I don't know if they have to set up a tip jar for it, but anyway, you don't need to. You have to sign up for it, but there's no credit cards or payment involved at all. And yeah, I recommend it for those people, especially those people who are starting out to write, because often you're not quite sure what to write about. And if you're not ready to write about yourself, then it'll give you these prompts. You just key in at least 3 words, 3 or more, and it'll generate prompts for you. And if you don't like one prompt, you just click on next. It'll give you another idea. So that's my final word. It's a free
How to
advertisement.
never run out of ideas.
That's right.
Well, thanks, Jake. It was a pleasure. Pleasure speaking to you.
Same here. And hope to see you again soon.